But if the words I'm speaking today are making your heart sink, then you should do the honorable thing and resign. We would thank you for your service. But I suspect, I know, the overwhelming majority of you feel the opposite. These words make your hearts full.
Now, full of something, I suppose, Pete Hegseth. Certainly not the desire to clap at any point during that speech. And so that was his challenge. I'm gonna do a whole bunch of identity politics stuff. It's just culture war, culture war, culture war. Screw all of your experience, decades of service to America or whatever. I sat on a couch for a couple years. I know what I'm talking about at this point. And so they're not gonna leave. You're gonna sign on. You're gonna bow down, just like the media and the Pentagon, except oops, that didn't work. And neither did this, because every week, more retirements, more defections from this insane Fox Newsification of the Department of Defense, which is still what it's called. And so we have the latest update. A highly decorated head of a critical Navy research office has resigned and been replaced with a 33-year-old former DOGE employee with no military experience. And so this is Rear Admiral Kurt Rothenhaus, had been chief of naval research at the Office of Naval Research. The office is charged with critical technical research and doling out billions of dollars in funding for the Navy. They replaced him with Rachel Riley, a former McKinsey consultant, a 33-year-old who worked with Elon Musk and doesn't know anything about the military. He had served as the Combat Systems C5I officer on the USS Harry Truman and chief engineer on the USS O'Brien. He served on the staff of Destroyer Squadron 15 and on USS Fife and completed a tour in Baghdad. She, on the other hand, worked for McKinsey. She had a PhD, that's something at least, although it was in social policy. And then she also studied contemporary Chinese studies, I suppose. So that's good. She's a proficient speaker of Mandarin Chinese and was also a varsity member of the Wofford College's Lady Terriers volleyball team. Now, I respect the hustle. I love spiking balls and all that. Don't know that that necessarily makes you qualified to head up billions of dollars worth of naval technical research. But that's what we got. You take the people with the actual experience who don't want to either murder random fishermen in the Caribbean or don't believe that the entire purpose of the Department of Defense is discriminating against fat people or those with beards. And so they move on, they don't want any part of this. And then they just put hacks and toadies and loyalists and Elon Musk, cultists or whatever, into these incredibly important positions. And it's one more person that's gonna need to be fired as soon as an actual professional is back in the warehouse or the White House. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's a consultant. That's what McKinsey is. They're consultants. Yeah. He hired a consultant. No human being who works on who works in a manufacturing, military or anything. No human being. Like lawyers and consultants are the two main villains in modern business. McKinsey is the people that you hire to come in and make changes to a company, an organization, based on this research they've done. And that research is like in a vacuum, in a factory. And if they talk to someone who actually does the job, they'd be like, oh, that does make sense on a computer screen, but it doesn't make sense in real life. And that is pretty much the vibe and ethos of this entire administration. They want this image that they present in a weird vacuum of television show hostery and bluster and spectacle. They want you to buy that. And they want you to ignore your lion eyes and your actual experience in the world. Now, I am of the opinion that there's a lot of people in government and in these organizations who are essentially do the same thing as soulless, blood-sucking consultants. But I thought that's what these guys are telling us they're not gonna do, is that we're getting real actual soldiers back in here. And he just replaced a real actual soldier with some DEI hire from Kinsey.
Exactly. There was, and we'll close with this. There was also Lieutenant General Joe McGee, 3-star general who worked on the Department of Defense's joint staff, apparently disagreed with Pete Hegseth about a couple of issues like the Russia-Ukraine war, as well as the the extrajudicial execution of people on boats in the Caribbean. And he does not want to end his decades-long career just killing fishermen or whatever, and so he's out. So yet more experienced, institutional experience, bureaucratic experience gone to be replaced by some loyalist or whatever.
Right, and like
Super
McKinsey
fast.
is particularly poetic because McKinsey is the same company that made $155 million off Warner Brothers and HBO and did this brilliant thing to change HBO Max to Max and then back again.
Efficient. That's who they're hiring from.